There was this article on HLTV right here. Experts take age and motivation in Counter-Strike. And they end up talking about having a work-life balance within esports. And this shit got me thinking, bro, because you hear that advice so much, like, bro, you need to have balance. Like, if you're gonna try and go pro in Counter Strike, you need to have a balance. And I'm like, bro, that's just some old people talk, man. That's a cliche. Like, why the fuck would you need that? I can just grind this game and get crazy good, right? But there was a line in there that stood out to me. I forgot. Let's see who said it. Right here. He said both robles are. What's a roble? The fuck? Roble said this, I guess. Lars Roble, that's his name. Damn, bro, I feel sorry for him. He said, if all a player has is esports, and esports is not going well, then life is not going well. That shit stuck out to me. It got me thinking about the mechanics behind having a balance between grinding pro and life, and like why you need to have it. I kind of like broke it down to explain it. So like we got to go off the premise, if you feel good, you play good, right? Less distractions equals a more focused player. Stress is a huge distraction, right? Mental stress, crazy distraction, right? You're not going to be able to focus well if you got a dirty ass room and you get no bitches, right? Me. So with that in mind, if your whole life is Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike isn't going good, then your life isn't going good. If you plateau or have any type of like decrease in skill within Counter-Strike, then your life is gonna feel like shit because that's your whole life is Counter-Strike. And if your whole life feels like shit, then you're gonna play worse in Counter-Strike because now you're stressed out. You see what I'm saying? Having a work-life balance gives you more feet to stand on. If Counter-Strike goes bad, you have other things outside the game. You have other stuff part of your personality that you can rely on to make yourself like forget about it and just like focus on something else. If your whole life's not Counter-Strike and the Counter-Strike goes bad, your whole life doesn't go bad and you can come back to Counter-Strike the next day with a renewed mind. Having a work-life balance is like if your whole life is Counter-Strike, right? That's like you standing on one leg and someone pushes you. You're just gonna fall and hit the floor and like break your skull open on concrete, right? But having like a balance outside Counter-Strike, it's like having an extra leg. It's like having your two arms, right? One of your arms the gym, one of your arms like your social life, your other arms like some other hobbies you have, right? Counter Strike goes bad. This someone sweeps your leg, that kicks your leg, your Counter Strike leg out. You have all these other appendages to fall and grab yourself and stop yourself from falling on. Fall back on your gym. I'm seeing gym progress. I'm making new friends. Like all that stuff is gonna help you not plummet if something goes wrong in Counter Strike. It keeps you stable with the mindset of like, oh, if I just grind the game, then I'll go pro, and then I'll just never be sad. Like that's a dangerous thing to do because that's like you're gonna be standing on one leg the whole way there, and like you have to be so lucky to not have that leg like pushed over and like swept if you only focus on Counter-Strike. You see what I'm saying? That work-life balance just like helps you get through those plateaus and plummets within the game and lets you push past them and come back like just as strong. If you have nothing to lean against, right? Let's say you're suspended in the air, like you have like a rope around your body and you're just floating in the air. If you try to punch something, you're not gonna have any force behind that punch because most of your power when you punch generates through your foot. You need other forms of contact to generate power through a punch. Same way with Counter-Strike, bro. If you want to have like an effective play style, like you want to be an effective, strong player, you need other points of contact besides just your fit. Like if this is Counter-Strike, right? Your feet, your hips, that's the rest of your life. Like you need all that shit balanced in order to have like to be an effective player. Because if you have nothing to produce that force with, like that punch is gonna be weak as fuck. Because then you're just punching with your shoulder and triceps. Like that's gonna be weak. I'm editing the video right now, and like hearing me say this, I can see why it could be a little bit confusing. But what I'm trying to say is that like you can't just focus on like your in-game mechanics and in-game brains or whatever, because there's so many other aspects of being a good player that goes into the game besides just like the game itself. Like if you lack confidence, you're not going to be a strong player. If you lack mental fortitude, you're going to break under pressure situations. If you have no social skills, how the fuck are you going to get a team? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why people who just focus solely on Counter-Strike and no life this game usually never get anywhere. Like it's pretty rare that they do. Just want to like let y'all know it's a win-win-win to like have a balanced life. Like you get better at Counter-Strike by doing it. You have more fun and life is just better. Like there's literally no losses to it. Like that's what the work-life balance is for. Like when you don't have that, it makes it so hard to risk investing in loss in order to grow. Because when you lose, that's when you learn what's wrong with you. And if your whole life is Counter-Strike, then you are scared to lose and scared to like go outside your comfort zone to learn because you're going to be more likely to appear to be playing worse. And if that's your whole life, then your life is going to go downhill. Having that balance allows you to experiment within the game and not be afraid of losing and like just focusing on certain things in scrims or focusing on certain things in pugs and not caring about your rank. Like that's why people have egos, because that's their whole life. Like that's why they need to win the game, because that's their whole life. If they don't win the game, they're gonna feel like shit. The other thing too is that once you get this balance established, if you're trying to like, go pro in the game, don't do what I did. Cause like when we lost in open playoffs, I'm like, fuck, dude, how am I losing in open playoffs? Like I'm a main player or whatever. Then I was like, I need to focus on the game more. And then I ended up sacrificing that balance in order to grind CS more. And it actually just hurt me in the long run. Don't sacrifice that balance in order to grind Counter-Strike if that balance doesn't produce growth instantly. That is a huge mistake that I made. Don't do that. And then you know what that equivalent is? If we go back to the analogy of like, your left leg is Counter-Strike. If all you have is Counter-Strike, someone pushes you over, you're just gonna fall and hit the ground, right? But if you have a right leg, which is the gym, left hand, which is social life, right hand, which is like, I don't know, fishing, girlfriend, hobbies, whatever. Counter-Strike gets swept, you can catch yourself. When you sacrifice your balance in order to work more in Counter-Strike, that's like saying like you're standing on your left leg, right? Which is Counter-Strike. It's like someone pushed you over. Instead of being able to catch yourself with your hands and get back up, it's like being like, bro, my leg wasn't strong enough. I gotta strengthen my leg more. It's like, no, dude. Doesn't matter how strong your leg is. If you stand on one leg and you get pushed over, you're gonna fall. Like that's what's gonna happen. Does that make sense? I feel like I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but it makes so much sense to me. That's what the balance is for. It stops you, it helps you get through those plateaus and negative periods where you're just losing, right? Because you have other stuff to fall back on. It's a good time to rest and renew your mind and like have new ideas come to you because you can step back from the game and have a different perspective when you come back into it. It also allows you to invest in loss and not be afraid of losing and trying something outside the ordinary and doing something eccentric to like try and improve your skill. And then on top of it, you'll gain other skills needed to go pro or to improve that you just can't find within Counter-Strike.